Winback Farm of New York.
Courtly Choice and the Buckeye Hall of Famer Dave Miller does it. Courtly Choice.
Rush, three of them across the track. Who's it going to be? It's Courtly Choice.
Courtly Choice sets sail, and it's Courtly Choice with a stunning upset.
It's all Courtly Choice and David Miller at front 148-3.
For more information, visit winbackfarm.com.
Hello everyone, I'm Heather Vitale. Welcome to Harness Racing Updates Tuesday Training, sponsored by Winback Farms Courtly Choice. Chris Ryder is another talented horseman who moved from the land down under to the land of the free, home of the brave. Although it seems he's become famous training pacing fillies, his list of champions goes far beyond that division in the sport. So from New Zealand to New Jersey, we're going to get the 411 on Ryder's rise to the top, plus check out some of those up-and-coming stars in his stable who are looking to be added to his already incredible resume. Keep it right here. We've got Chris Ryder in this edition of Two's in Training.
So I was raised with the business and just progressed to be a trainer somehow.
Well, let's get like the real details. So then how did you go from New Zealand over to America?
Well, I was working with horses in New Zealand. My wife and I had been married a few years, and Nicola, my wife, had a transfer with her job to New York City, and we just both came, and I was filling in time, and funny enough, I started messing around with a few horses, and as they say, the rest is history. I started racing at freehold with some cheaper horses. Those horses were okay and just progressed.
Yeah, we definitely have to give props to Nicola because she is definitely like the backbone of the Chris Ryder enterprise. I mean, she is
100%.
so huge.
She's very cute and very smart, takes care of my book work, amongst many other things.
We won't get into the many other things because this is definitely like a PG show and not an R show.
Oh, I mean, doing owners, licensing, etc.
Oh, okay. So, I just want to explain to everybody that we are interviewing Chris Ryder tonight, the trainer Chris Ryder, not the driver Chris Ryder. But I do want to mention that the driver, Chris Ryder, is batting over 500 this year. You've had a few starts. You've had a win. You've had a second. Tell me about that. What horse have you driven and how come?
I don't drive, but I like to drive my own once in a while, especially if they're in a little cheaper and I got a better chance to win a race, because I've been thinking about it, and I hadn't won a race driving at the Meadowlands. Maybe I'd won one in 2000, and I thought it was time I won a race just to knock the old cobwebs off the record. And hung on by a whisker, but got there. And obviously I don't drive much, but I've always driven just a sparse amount. And I enjoy driving, but obviously, hopefully with the caliber of horses that we have, we need the Dexter Dunns of the world, etc. I just drive a little bit once in a while. Usually trotters, but I haven't had a trotter for a while.
Well, you paid like over $30 with that win. So whoever was betting on you, extremely happy.
Right. You say I got a 500 driving percentage, but I think I've only had 2 drives, so that helps.
Well, I do notice that you drive a little bit, so I was wondering, like, with this, I think his name's Barrage Hanover. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, Barrage Hanover.
Okay. So, like, like, how come him, and then how come you do drive? Or there's just younger horses? I mean, you say you just kind of like to wipe off the cobwebs, but sometimes maybe you want to sit behind them just to kind of see.
Well, I sit behind them all week, so I really don't need to race them that much. I qualify a lot of my horses, or I used to, until a guy called Patrick came along, and he's qualified. My son, he's qualifying them now. Um, but no, I'm not out to be a driver. It's not what I want to do, but I just drive once in a while.
I was actually going to talk about Patrick later because we see him on some of our 2-year-olds. But why don't we talk about Patrick now? Because you've got a couple of sons.
I do. I have two boys, Patrick and Samuel. Patrick's the older one, 26.
And
And
he's
he's working
working
in the
with you
barn.
now.
Yes, he's been at college at Rutgers, and he's been working in the barn the last couple of summers, but now he's full time. And he didn't think, I never really wanted him to be a horseman. Um, and he didn't think he would be either, but with the working with the horses in the summer and going on the road, he's got very enthusiastic about it, and he's going to stay for some years, a couple of years or so, and him and his wife have bought a house in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and they thought they were going to live there until he got a bit keener on the horses, and they're going to hang around. So you could
Those
say his
horses will.
career's at a limbo or whatever.
I mean, and that's okay because horses will do that to you.
Absolutely, yeah. Look at me, I'm a lifer.
I love it. I love it. So what we're going to do is, I know this is Tuesday training, but we always want to take a little look back in what's happening. So why don't we look at your 2020 statistics before we move on? So 314 starts. We've got 68 wins, 44 seconds, 38 thirds, 2.7 million in earnings. And by the way, you batted last year 335, which is so great. Year after year, I mean, we're talking over 2 decades. You continue to put out great numbers. And of course, I realize that, I mean, you got to have power in your barn, but let's face it, you do this because you have a love for horses. I mean, and you loved your job.
Correct. Yes, there's nothing better than developing a horse and have it go at the top level. That's what we aspire to do, and it's very rewarding when it works out.
Well, I'll tell you what, it worked out last year pretty well because there's
Yes,
a
it
couple
did.
horses that I want to talk about. We're going to talk about Bettors Wish first, okay? So what we're going to do,
Yes.
let's check out that lifetime best in the Sam McKee Memorial, and we're going to watch that real fast, 147-3.
Racing room. This is the plan. Stacks to the outside, has work to do. 3/4, 119-4. Into the stretch drive of the Sam McKee. And it's Bettors Wish clear by 3. It's Bettors Wish in front. Backstreet Shadows trying to reel him in. From the inside, none better with late pace. Hurricane Emperor down the center. It's down to Bettors Wish. Final move, Backstreet Shadow on the outside. Bettors Wish. Bettors Wish. Bettors Wish, Backstreet Shadow. Century Pharaoh, 147-3. Racing room.
So we've got $2.6 million in earnings. 2019 3-year-old pacing colt of the year, and then 2020 he was the aged horse of the year. He's recently retired. This is one you're going to miss, though.
Oh yeah, left a big gap in our barn. But we had such a great 3 years with him. It was just a ride. It's a great ride. Race after race, he's right there and won 24 races all in all. And it was, it's hard to describe. It was terrific, but he's really got a place in our family. That's for sure.
So he's retired to stud. However, what I realized is that he just had a baby. So he retired to stud in 2020, but oh my gosh, there's the baby. So cute. This is his first one. And this is the one
Right?
that was born on Valentine's Day at Concord Stud in New Jersey.
Yes.
So
Right.
tell me about what's happening here. So he's got babies on the ground, but he just retired to
Yeah.
stud.
Right. Well, he last in 2020 he was breeding as well as racing, and he bred in New Jersey because I was training in New Jersey, so he had to be breeding in New Jersey because that's, as I say, that's where he was being trained. But we had some with COVID. There weren't many races early in the year, and that was when he was doing the bulk of the breeding. So that worked out quite well. And by the time the races came along, most of the mares were already in foal. So, but he was still breeding while he was racing a little bit, but the main bulk of it was out of the way before he had to start racing. So that's how come he's just, and then he retired at the end of 2020, and but now he, those foals that were conceived last year are now being born.
That's so
Not bad, eh? Pretty
exciting.
good. Yeah. And of course, mine are way overdue, 3 weeks overdue, but they'll arrive.
All right. So, of course, another horse we want to check out from 2020 is Party Girl Hill. So, we're going to check out that Lexington race when she beat the boys and took her lifetime mark.
Saving ground in fifth as Alvar ahead of her. Comes underway to the outside of sixth in front of Save Me a Dance. A race around the turn. Party Girl Hill maintains a 2-length lead from No Losing. Captain Midnight works up third past Sand Between My Toes. Are off 3/4 in 1:21, and Party Girl Hill starts to get some separation. She sprinted 3 lengths clear. No Losing is driven out there from the second spot. Captain Midnight rallies up at the far outside third. Deep stretch. Party Girl Hill still there with No Losing inching in. Captain Midnight up at the far outside. They come down to the finish. Party Girl Hill making a baker's dozen. 13 in a row. She's flawless. Party Girl Hill 147-2. In the second division of the Tattersaws.
All right. So, her lifetime best 147-2. And of course, she went 15 for 16 last year. That's just unbelievable.
Right.
Oh, how much fun was she to race last year?
Tremendously exciting. As it was fun for everybody. I think everyone enjoyed watching her win race after race, and obviously it was even more exciting for us. Working with her every day and being able to rely on her. And she had a flawless season. We had the one loss, unfortunately, but she was just, whatever we asked her to do, she did and did it well. And she travelled up to Canada, won the Fan Hanover. 6 days later, I believe she won the Sire Stake final in 48 at Chester, and then went to the Jug, went 49 and a half. She was just went to Lexington. It was you could hardly write that, could you?
I absolutely agree. And it's so funny because I won't get into an entire alien discussion here, but aliens are big in the news right now. And I think she's proof. Like, I feel like she came from completely outer space, not
Okay.
raced as a 2-year-old. Okay.
No.
So like she
No.
comes through, she like goes through like the sound barrier, and everyone's like, is this a UFO? Like, what is this? I mean, she never even raced as a 2-year-old. It was like she came out of outer space. It was unbelievable.
Well, congratulations, Heather. You're very colourful. I haven't heard it described so well before. But that's why you're in publicity. That's a very good way of putting it. Well, she was trained down in Ohio and then in Florida, qualified in Florida, came up to us. I'm thinking April. We were ready to race, and there was no racing with COVID. So she was held up for about 5 weeks. So that's where she came from.
Okay.
Mr. Hill bred her very well, of course.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And a great owner.
Terrific. Absolutely.
So now what do you expect from 2021 from her?
Yeah, well, we obviously all expect to keep winning. That's just the way it is. That's what we want to do. Um, is that what we expect? But I look at her every day and just think, what's going to happen this year? What's going to go wrong? And as a trainer, I've got to try and avoid any pitfalls or keep my eye on the road, make sure there's nothing, not to put her in a situation that's going to be detrimental. But she's doing very well. She had 6 weeks turned out in North Carolina, and she's training back just as well as ever. And um, we want to go and do what we did last year. Obviously, to say that that's what's going to happen, I don't say those types of things. But she's really well.
All right. Well, I know a lot of fans are looking forward to her. So, no, that's awesome. Now, again, we are going to get to our 2-year-olds. And we did mention some great horses from 2020. But I also want to mention some horses that you've had in the past. All right. So, of course, like people's memories are a little bit slow. And they may not remember some of these stable stars that you've had. Of course, Sealed and Delivered, who has been a 2-year-old pacing colt of the year. Mystical Sunshine. Oh my gosh, that trotting mare, 2 Breeders' Crown. Actually, my favorite rider trainee, to tell you the truth. I loved her. McCardle. I mean, he made 2.4 million. And of course, these famous pacing fillies. We've got Cathedral.com put on a show. I Love the Nightlife. All 3 of them won $1 million during their 3-year-old campaign. So, like, you look at that list, and not to sound like a life coach, but how do you feel when you look at all of those stars that you've trained?
Well, obviously, I'm proud of them, and it's good to have them on the record. Each one of them were terrific horses. They all have stories like all horses do. Cathedral.com was a little homebred filly that they thought wouldn't go for any money in the sale, so that's the only reason why they kept her. So things just happen in this business, and you don't know what horses are going to overachieve because there's tons of them that do. But that list of horses is a nice list to have. I'll agree with you on that.
Yes. And so out of all of races that you've won, what's your favorite?
It's either the Sam McKee, because that's a special race for, everyone. We all love Sam McKee. We lost him too early. He was such a popular guy, and it's really good that they named that race after him. It's either the Sam McKee or the TVG final that Bettors Wish dominated his last race of his life. So if I had to pick one out, it's one of those. Partly because he's one of the best horses I've ever had, and I owned a quarter of them. And I've had lots of other good wins, but I didn't own them. Not that many of them.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I wasn't going to ask you who your favorite horse was, because sometimes I feel like when I ask that, it's like asking who is your favorite child. And in this household right here, the favorite, and I've got 2 boys, just like you.
Right.
The favorite child changes from day to day, sometimes from minute to minute. So, are you do you dare to go out there and say who your favorite horse ever is?
Well, it's one of those questions it's a no-win situation to answer it as a trainer, because I've had so many good horses. Like I don't want to say it's not put on a show. I don't want to say it's not I Love the Nightlife. But if you put me on the spot, I'll go with Bettors Wish. I think everyone will forgive me for that.
That, fair enough. Fair enough. I love that answer. I think that's great. And especially because you owned part of him. And I do think that makes it a little more special, right?
Yeah, and he's a stud, so they have more more future, when they're done racing, and there was just nothing but upside to the horse. So that's it.
All right, so now what we're going to do in our Tuesday training segment is we're going to do a breakdown of numbers. So let's talk about how many horses do you have total in the barn, and then let's break them down from like the race horses to like the 2-year-olds.
Yeah, well, I have 44 horses in total. I have 20 2-year-olds. I have, well, I'm not sure the exact number of my 3-year-olds, but I only have the 4 and up. I only have 3 or 4 of them. So what does that leave? The 3-year-olds, 10 or so, or 20.
I was going to say, we need Nicola here to do the mathematics for us.
Yes. Well, she's the accountant. I'm not the accountant.
Yeah, I know she is because, yeah, math is not my strong point. I can tell you that.
Right.
So thank you, Nicola. So you are in New Jersey, is that right? Like that's where you train.
Yes, I live in New Jersey, train in New Jersey. Correct.
Okay. All right. So now this is where we get to the up and coming stars, which is always so exciting because I love doing this show so much. So people can kind of like keep track of what's going on when they see these horses hit the track. So first of all, we're going to go to, we've got 10 to go over tonight, which is so cool. And we are going to start with our pacing fillies, and we're going to kick it off with Broadway. So let's take a look at Broadway. She is an Always Be Mickey out of I Love the Nightlife. Of course, she is a homebred, and I love the nightlife. I mean, a world champion and a winner of over 2 million. And in here, actually, I think we're seeing her, Dexter Dunn. He's got the red suit on, and he is the one that has her.
Actually, no, she is in front. I'm driving her on the front end. Dexter's driving a trotting filly.
Oh,
That's
okay.
okay.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. The I Love the Nightlife is a pacing filly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we have the wrong one up. I apologize for that.
I think you had the right video.
Okay.
So I Love the Nightlife she's Broadway is the last foal out of I Love the Nightlife.
And obviously you had I Love the Nightlife. So then you just inherit Broadway.
Well, I suppose you could say that, but she'd had a few foals before this, colts, and she unfortunately passed away delivering her last foal in 2020. In 2020, yes. And so this is her last filly.
Okay. And she's coming along really well.
Yeah, she is. She's very big filly, 16 one hands, and we just, you're not going to see her early.
All right. You're going to let her grow into herself a little bit.
That's our intention, exactly.
All right. So let's check out the next pacing filly, and it's Nikki Hill. So we've got her. She's an Always Be Mickey, and she's out of a road bet, $155,000 purchase from Lexington. Now, I know her dam made a lot of money, about 380 grand. But I think her dam is probably known best as being the mom of Cattle Wash. So you probably love that at the sale.
Yes, well, Cattle Wash obviously took a mark of 46 in Kentucky at Lexington, and I trained the mother of Cattle Wash for a short time and always liked her. She was a Bettors Delight mare, and this is the second foal. So she looked good at the sale, and we got her.
All right, and we're going to move on with our pacing fillies. You're a pacing filly man. I don't know what to say. I hate to say that, like it's like what is this, like Hollywood, and you're being typecast or something? But you do have a way with those pacing fillies. I don't know.
Okay, I'll take it.
Let's see. Show me your sweet side. I love this name. So this is a Sweet Lou out of a Beach Show Off, $150,000 purchase from Timonium, aka Lexington. So this is Beach Show Off's second foal. But what I did notice when I was looking her up, obviously her mom, Beach Show Off's mom, is put on a show, who you also trained.
Correct. She's a good-looking Sweet Lou filly at the sale, raised in Canada. We were fortunate enough to be able to buy her. And her mother didn't do too well racing, but she was affected as a foal with a lung disease. And she was a Sun Beach from put on a show. So we're hopeful with this filly. She's doing well. So, there's a lot of good blood there.
Yeah, and it's now this one we do see Dexter, because anything that you
Yes.
see, like the red suit in any of these videos, it's Dexter. All right.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, he
see
looks better in
the
red than I
blade.
do.
The blaze, you can see the little bit of the blaze of Sweet Lou right on her, right?
Correct.
He leaves
Yes,
his mark
yes,
on
yes.
so many. Yeah,
He
yeah.
sure does.
She's so cute.
Exactly.
So we're going to move on to a trotting filly now. All right. Now, this is Intellect Hill, and she's a Father Patrick out of Smarter Than Smart, $40,000 from Timonium, ninth foal, but actually, this is her first Father Patrick. And again, if you're looking for her in here, we've got Dexter, right? Dexter is the one that,
Yes.
and this is the only trotter in this group, right? Wait.
Yes, I only have two trotters, 2-year-olds, a colt and a filly. And Tom Hill brought this filly for me to train. And she's doing, well, you can see she trots the way you want them to trot. And we train her down with the paces, of course. And she's been 26, 27. All my 2-year-olds have been between 20, 25, 26, 27. And she's right there with them and doing really well. So let's hope, we have a horse here or just keep progressing. But I got no complaints with her at all.
Now we're going to switch back over to the pacing gate, but we've got the colts now. We've got Faulkner Hanover. This is a pacing colt we're going to talk about a little bit. And Always Be Mickey. The mom is Fit to Frame, $90,000 from Timonium. The dam's first Always Be Mickey. And also, this is a half brother to Firestart Hanover, who won the Breeders' Crown this past year.
Right. Well, she was trained by the great Nifty Norman. So I've got a lot to live up to here to be able to repeat what he did with the sister. But this is a Always Be Mickey colt. I was able to buy some Always Be Mickeys for prices that I thought were quite reasonable. They had a very nice mares, and this is one of them. I'm not going to say ordinary, but you wouldn't know he's there. He's quiet. He's no trouble. He's doing everything well, and it's the Grand Lady family, and we got hopes for him.
Well, I mean, two things. I hope that Nifty will be watching this at some point so that he can hear that you said the great Nifty Norman.
That's
We
right.
did have
Well, I watched him, so he better be watching me.
absolutely. I mean, don't like Kiwis stick together?
Well, yeah, I think we do.
I hope so, because I know I'm from Delaware, and us Delawareans stick together. So,
Right.
it's just
Right.
part of the deal.
That's right. That's all good.
And I want to mention, on Faulkner, actually, I think that was Patrick that was on Faulkner, I believe. I mean,
it probably was. I'm not sure. I didn't pay much attention. But yeah, he's training in all the sets with us.
right. I don't know. I love that whole family thing. This is such a great
Sure.
family business,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
few families have done it. We're not the first one. You got
Right
the
here.
Millers,
Yeah.
etc., etc. Yes, the King.
So all right, we're gonna go into another pacing coat. We've got Play the Ace now. All right, so this one is an Always Be Mickey out of Dream Out Loud, $85,000 from Lexington. The damn six foal, it's her first Always Be Mickey, and her half brother, or his half brother, is actually Catch the Fire, who won the Adios this past year. So obviously that's something that, brings attention to you when you go to the sales.
Yes, well, I've always liked this mare, and then she left Catch the Fire, which only made it even better. Um, we like this horse. We were able to get him. Um, the mare, every foal the mare's had's won a race except for one other one by Well Said that I purchased myself, and he just didn't make it. We couldn't get him to the races. But every other mare, every other foal this mare's had have been winners.
I love that because, I look up the mares when I'm doing these segments, and that's how I'm trying to learn so much about breeding. And when you mention something like that and I overlook it, it perks my ears up a little bit because I think it's so interesting when, you're sitting there and you're looking at all that black type. And,
Yes.
you kind of wonder, what are the trainers like looking at? Like, are they looking at the mares more? Are they looking at the sires more? Like, I know it's a, I know
Right.
it's a
Right.
combination, but you really must take the mares under consideration after saying that comment.
I put more emphasis on the mare than the stallion. Um, to me, that's 90% of it. They've got to have a good family, or I'm not interested. Like
Now,
all the
are
time.
you, yeah, I mean, do you consider that as well with horses and humans? I mean, how much emphasis are we putting on Nicola with the success of your sons?
Well, once I met Nicola and got to know her family, I knew she was well bred, so it just fitted, even though she was a chestnut.
Oh my God. I think that's the first time I've like literally laughed out loud. I love you so much, Chris Ryder. That was so perfect. Okay. Um,
Okay, all right.
we've got one more here. Well, now I can't stop laughing. Leighton Hanover, another pacing colt. Let's check him out. All right, a Captain Treacherous, and it is by Livin' Life, a $67,000 purchase from Timonium. And I believe you are on Leighton in this one.
Correct. I am. Yep.
And what
Well,
did you
he's
like about him?
everything. Um, First of all, I had someone that wanted to buy him. That was the beginning. His mother is sister to I Love the Nightlife, Western Ideal sister. He's a Captain Colt, which obviously everybody wants a Captain Treacherous Colt. And I've had trouble buying them because I'd get outbid like all the time. Anyway, this colt, I have got a lot of time for. I'm a little bit excited about him. He hasn't been any faster than the other colts, but since we've brought him, he's grown and he's thickened out, and he's just, he's becoming a man instead of a yearling. So I like this horse a lot. Hopefully, we have what I hope we have.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I was thinking Leighton was the last one. We've still got a few to go through. This is what people don't see. I just want to do a behind the scenes right now, okay? So hopefully my bosses don't get upset. These are clipboards of like the different things that I put together for the twos in training. So as I do these interviews, I'm pulling pages out and I'm trying to figure out like what we're going to talk about next and having these notes. So here I've got Leighton Hanover, and I was like, I still got we've still got 3 more 2s to talk about. So
Right. All right.
there's everyone's behind the scenes so that they know, what goes on behind like putting this stuff together.
Right. Right. Well, you do a pretty good job.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that because you know how much I respect you, so I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
that
you.
you respect me as well. So let's check out Arsonist. It's another pacing colt here. Another Captain Treacherous who we just talked about out of Candlelight Dinner. And this is a homebred. And this is actually her first foal.
Yes. Well, Candlelight Dinner is an interesting mare. Um, she's out of a mare that's like a terrific producer. I just don't remember exactly Candlelight Dinner's record, but I believe it's 150, 2 or 300,000. This is kind of a growthy colt, homebred, raised at Hanover, arrived to us looking like stout and really good. And he's another one showing good promise. Very happy with him. It's the first time
All
I've
right.
trained a baby for Eric Cherry, so I told him I think he's got a little bit of beginner's luck.
As he should. I mean, there's a lot to say about beginner's luck. Absolutely. Yeah. So hopefully
Yes,
we'll be
yes,
we'll be checking him out soon on the track. So we've got
right,
also Mind Hunter. And this is
right.
another Captain Treacherous. And it's so funny because we just got done talking about like Captain Treacherouses and how, it's hard to get them at the sale sometimes. But now you have 2 homebreds that we're talking about tonight.
Yes,
We just talked about Arsonist. Now we've got Mine Hunter out of Mind Boggling, another homebred. The horse has
right.
had several foals. Her first captain, though.
Okay, yeah, I'm not really that familiar with her production. I know she's a Cam Best mare, which is a plus. Um, I'm happy with this colt. He's very growthy. You won't see him racing too early, uh, but he's doing he's doing well, finishing up his miles with the rest of them.
I mean, this is the second time that you've mentioned, a horse being big and growthy. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's not something that I've really talked about too much in the twos and training, honestly, with someone. But when their size is that big, I mean, you're really looking for them to grow into themselves. So, can you talk about size just a little bit before we get to this last horse?
Yeah, well, it's the same with all the 2-year-olds that you don't want to go too fast with them early because you don't want them getting sore joints and then they're compromised. But um, we want to race them as late as possible, but the races come along when the races come along. So most of the time you have to go. But with the bigger ones, I'm a little bit more emphatic about slowing down with them and not racing them in the early races. Just because they're bigger and they're heavier, and I find the bigger ones sometimes they'll go lame a lot easier than the smaller ones.
Okay. All right. No, I love that. It's good advice for people that are watching because I do take pride in the fact that we do have people that are watching from all over the world and people that are just getting into this. So they're looking for, advice on things like that. So no, that's super.
Well, be very careful about listening to advice because every day when I go to the barn, almost every day, I learn something that I haven't learned in the last 65 years. So in the horse business, training horses, there's always something comes along that you can keep learning. I don't know if there's a maximum amount that you ever um, able to achieve knowledge-wise with horses. There's always more to learn.
Absolutely agreed. And I'm glad that you say that because a lot of people would think that they already know everything. So that I think that's a strong statement. So thank you. Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna check out Vicious now. And I ended everything with Vicious as far as a 2-year-old because he is a Sun Beach somewhere out of Satisfy My Soul, $85,000 from Lexington. And of course, Sun Beach somewhere, we're not seeing any more of him. So the fact that you have a Sun Beach, that's pretty special.
Yeah, I think it is. He was obviously, like you say, excuse me, it's the last crop of the great horse, and he's out of a very interesting mare. I think she is. She's out of the put on a show. Well, Steinem family, Steinem's place, who's the mother of put on a show. He's out of that family, out of a young, well-said mare, and he's as good a looking individual as you'll find. He's very handsome. And
So when
got a
you went
terrific
to
gait, easy mover. Yes.
Oh, I was just going to say, so when you went to the sale, I mean, that again was the deal that you looked at. I mean, you looked at the mare first, and then you looked at it was a Sun Beach.
Well, I'm always attracted to this family, and Sun Beach didn't hurt. It was a plus. And like I say, I think he's a real looker. So I thought he would have been more money. I know 85,000 is enough money, but I still thought he would have been more.
I've heard you say that in different interviews about horses. In fact, I think you said that about Bettors Wish at some point, that you thought that maybe he would have gone for more money as well.
Yes, well, Bettors Wish was a completely different thing. He went for 20,000. So don't ask me what happened there. He was just he was beautiful young. He was beautiful. He had a great video, and he was well bred, and that was it. I bought him.
It's funny because a lot of people would be saying, you know what, I paid too much for this horse or something like that, where I've heard you say a couple times where you didn't pay as much for a horse as what you thought you were going to pay for them. So owners out
Right.
there, just thinking about that if you're looking for a trainer. Apparently you have an incredible eye for a yearling.
Well, we had an advantage this year. With Timonium sale, with the COVID, a lot of owners weren't there, and some of a lot of the horses I think sold for, I don't know, 20, 30, 40,000 less than they would have otherwise. It makes a difference when you're scratching on a budget.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So I am done with I always say I hate to say interviewing because like I always feel like when I do the Tucson training, it's always like a conversation instead of an interview. I've had so much fun. I've had so much fun today. I literally belly laughed earlier, which I don't think I've done that my entire Tucson training this year. So I
Was that the
appreciate
chestnut comment? Was it? Was it the chestnut comment?
it was.
Okay.
It was because I just dyed my hair blonde to red. So Nicola and I are going to be twinning this whole stake season together.
All right. Super. Super. Your
So
hair looks great.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. You're so awesome. Wait a minute. You know about hair, don't you? Wait, is this coming back to me? Didn't you like
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did.
I had a, I
Oh
had
my
a,
goodness. You
I had a
used
mini
to
career, as a beautician
wait, when was that New Zealand?
in New Zealand. Yeah, I left school when I was 15, which wasn't that smart, and I was a beautician for 10 years. But I was still messing with horses in my spare time. Actually, when I was a beautician, I was riding thoroughbreds, so that made for some early starts.
Okay, so we need to get together and write a book because there is so much information here.
I
So we're
don't know if that's a
going
good idea. You want to be able to sell them.
Oh, with my imagination and your story, we're going to sell a
Okay.
lot. We're good.
All right. I'll take you up on that.
All right. So our part is done, but we do have viewer questions. So we're going to bring those up on the screen so we can have you answer those. We've got Charles Foster, and he says, you have had remarkable success with yearlings like Bettors Wish that did not bring high prices. Oh, we talked about that, but this is specific. So what was it that you saw that the other bidders didn't? Very good.
Okay. It's very difficult thing to really answer in black and white, but it's my opinion, or it's not my opinion, it's my view that in a yearling sale, there's a half a dozen at least horses there. They're going to sell for 30, 40,000 and under that are terrific horses. That's just the numbers of a yearling sale. That is what happens. So my job is to find them. And every sale, they're there. I bought a filly at the sale for $500 and sold her for $100,000. I bought other horses for $18,000 and been 2-year-old of the year. And it's not really that I'm better at picking out horses. It's a matter of the homework, I believe. If you set your mind to do it, you can do it. You know, I'm no smarter than the next guy. It's just a matter of footwork, groundwork, going around and looking at them. But I revert back to the families. There must be good families. So a lot of some consigners will be selling families the mare hasn't produced, but if you take a shot, you can do it. I buy a lot of other yearlings for not much money that they're not Bettors Wishes. Not all the ones I buy are good, but if you stick to your rules and buy good conformation and good breeding, there's plenty of horses that have that don't sell for a lot of money. I hope that answers the
So
question.
when you say do your homework, you're talking about, well, of course, like you're going to look through the sales book. You're going to go to the farms and you're going to look at videos. I mean, is there something else that we're missing?
No, I study the book a lot before I go to the sale. I want to know every page. And I don't always see the yearlings at the farms because there's just X amount of time to be able to, because we're racing, it's stake time, summertime, we're fairly busy. But I go to as many farms as I can. And I did see Bettors Wish at Brittany Farm before the sale. And like I say, it's homework.
It's part of being a deal, like being a top trainer. I mean, that's what you do, right?
Right, that's my job. That's the way I look at it. And every year I go to the sale, I've got to buy a good horse, or the phone stops ringing, and you don't win so much money, and can't go on vacation.
Can't do twos in training with me. I mean, like,
No,
that's a highlight.
right, exactly. Any
All
more
right, so we've
questions?
got another question here. We've got a few more. We've got a few more to get through. From Richard Young, we know this guy. So I thought Nightlife was one of the most dominant 3-year-old fillies I had ever seen until Party Girl Hill. They had virtually identical records, and although Nightlife earned more, I'd lean to Party Girl because of her competition as the best I've ever seen. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think he makes a good point. Hello, Richard. Party Girl Hill had some very good fillies racing against her, and I think the Breeders' Crown kind of proved that point. Like Peaky Sneaky been racing terrific and sneaked up on us and got us in the Breeders' Crown. So it was they were excellent fillies. I'm just trying to think back to Richard about to tell me what fillies I love the nightlife of racing against, so I'd have to refresh my memory on that. But Party Girl Hill, she took the cake, I think, when it comes to 3-year-old fillies.
Yeah, absolutely, like stellar. Just so amazing. All right. So we're going to go to our next question. All right, so it's from Jay Kopinski, and he wants to know, how do you decide where to qualify and race the 2-year-olds between Pocono, the Meadowlands, and perhaps Chester?
I really just take it as it comes along. The Meadowlands I'm a little careful about, because if you take your 2-year-olds there, they'll, you might get in a 52 mile. We've seen that a lot, even when it's early. The first week, not so much. The second week, watch out. And any horse, when you take the Meadowlands, the speed's on. Kind of prefer to stay away from that. But it's a matter of timing. Chester and Pocono are fine. Pocono just takes us forever to get there, and Chester's handier. And I quite like the Chester qualifiers. They're more under control. Timmy's there, and it's not such a speed duel. So, but basically, it's a matter of what suits us logistically of the barn. Whatever else we're doing that day, we might be racing or whatever. But I don't really mind going to the Meadowlands, but I tend to be a little cautious about going there.
All right. So the last question from our viewer questions are, it's Len Berg. We have a few discussions on Tuesday training about yearling selection criteria, such as pedigree versus conformation, athletic looks, good head, good rear end. What is the one must have for you when buying a yearling? We kind of touched on that. However, I do like the way he states this. Like, what is the one must have?
Well, that's a difficult question because there's not one. There's, I want a combination, but if I had to go down to one, I'm very reluctant to buy a horse with no pedigree.
Okay.
There's lots of things I could touch on, but when it comes to one, I guess that's it.
Okay. All right. So you want a horse, pedigree then would be the must have then.
Yes.
Yes. I kind of like that he added the good rear end in there since, hey, sometimes baby got back and when you're looking at horses, they always say like going forward. That's a good thing to have, right? Maybe the older mares.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just talking about the older mares.
Well, most of my top horses have had very good rear ends, if you want to call it that. There's one or two there that haven't, so things happen.
All right. No, I love that because I think that when I'm watching people at the yearling sales and they're going over them, and it's one of the things I always see people having their hands toward the back end of a horse. Do you know what I mean? When they're just kind of going through. And I started noticing that, which is something, again, thank you, Harness Racing Update, when you're covering the sales and you're learning about this, it's an educational thing. So, yeah.
Well,
you just mentioned that, and I think that's awesome.
Right. You could talk all night about what physically you want to see in a horse.
That's true.
And
Again,
I think by the
we'll
time
put that
I
in our
finished, I
book.
think everyone would be asleep.
Okay, we've got one Facebook question, and then I'm going to let you go. So here, why do down under trainers do so well in America?
Well, I kind of thought I might get this question because I've been asked it a number of times before. And honestly, I just think it's a matter of getting out of bed in the morning. Get up, be at the farm, look at your horses, and use some common sense. Get them fit, get them as sound as you can, and they'll do the rest for you. But there's a lot of down under guys do well. And we're probably a little starving when we come up here, so we got to knuckle down and try and make something out of what we have that comes in the barn. And but it's just basics. Just keep an eye on your horses, and be there every day and get them fit, take care of them best you can, and things usually fall into place. So assuming the down under guys, like I say, we come up here a little hungry and want to, we're immigrants. We want to puff our chest out and do something. If you didn't want to do anything, we wouldn't have come here, would we? It's a land of opportunity, right?
You just took the words out of my mouth. I was literally going to say that. I mean, it's a land of opportunity. And when people come to America, I mean, they want to do well. So you do what you have to do. And obviously, a little elbow grease and hard work pays off.
Right. So you still got to have the horse flesh, and, you got owners that supply you of nice horses. You got to be grateful.
And I know that you are.
Absolutely, every day.
Okay, so we are going to wrap this up, but first, I'm going to plug what is coming up on Tuesday Training. So we've got Jamie coming up on Monday, and she is Carmen Osialo, and that's Monday, March 29th. And also in April, Heather Wilder is going to be in Florida, and she's going to be interviewing Ron Burke, Chuck Sylvester, Brian Brown, John Bootenshane. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch Heather do those in April as well. So I'm excited about watching that. Heather's a good friend of mine. Of course, you guys out there, if you do not subscribe to Harness Racing Update, it is harnessracingupdate.com, a free newsletter. Make sure you go on there and you subscribe. And oh my gosh, Chris, it's been so much fun. Thank you. Thank you to everyone from around the world who has watched. Thank you to Winback Farm, who has Courtly Choice. We love you guys for sponsoring. I have loved tonight with you, Chris. Thank you.
Good. I enjoyed it too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right. Good night, everybody. Love you guys. Mwah.
Multiple stakes winner Courtly Choice is now standing at Winback Farm of New York.
Courtly Choice and the Buckeye Hall of Famer Dave Miller does it. Courtly Choice.
Rush, three of them across the track. Who's it going to be? It's Courtly Choice.
Courtly Choice sets sail, and it's Courtly Choice with a stunning upset.
It's called Courtly Choice and David Miller in front 148-3.
For more information, visit winbackfarm.com.
Harness Racing Update features the sport's most talented and provocative lineup of writers. Garnet Barnsdale, Dave Briggs, Murray Brown, Frank Ottolo, Ron Gerfine, and Thomas Hedlund, as well as Bill Heller, Bob Hayden, Dean Hoffman, Victoria Howard, Chris Lomon, and David Mattia, and also James Platts, Bob Roberts, Sandra Snyder, Brett Sturman, Jay Wolf, and many more. See what everyone is talking about. Subscribe to HRU today for free at harnessracingupdate.com.